Great, I think we're live now. Hi everyone, greetings from the UK. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Dagina Wetherill and I'm the Director for Global University Systems UK division, which consists of a number of UK universities. And today I'm extremely excited to talk about one of our premium partner universities, University for the Creative Arts. We will be talking to few colleagues from the university, so I'm extremely excited to welcome Sidonie Elliott, Senior Partnership Executive from UCA. Hi, Sidonie. We have Carrie and Simon from UCA's admissions team, and we have Tipo Mia from Technical Services at the University for the Creative Arts. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining. And on GUS side, we have Kasia Krupa, Client Relationship Manager, or Senior Client Relationship Manager as of yesterday for GUS, who obviously looks after relationship with University for the Creative Arts. Thank you everyone for joining. Before we start, just a few housekeeping rules. You're all on mute. If you'd like to ask any questions, feel free to do so. Just pop them into Q&A section and we'll take it from there. The recording will be sent to you after the webinar as well. If you don't yet work with Global University Systems, feel free to reach out to UCA partners at gus.global and we'll look into your educational agency profile from there. If you're a student applying directly without an educational agency involved, then you can reach out to UCA questions at gus.global. We'll be sharing the inboxes later as well. Other than that, sit back and enjoy. We will cover a few areas today in regards with UCA, the process, the facilities, etc. And of course, we're happy to take any questions you might have if you are a student applying for September 2021, or you're a parent perhaps, or your educational agency applying on students' behalf. Feel free to raise your questions and we'll take it from there. Thank you, and over to you, Sidonie.
Great, thank you, and good morning and good afternoon or good evening to wherever you are tuning in. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to give a short overview and introduction to UCA, a little bit more information for those people that may have applied and are now considering which courses. And I'll talk a little bit about the university before we go into details about resources and also the admissions process to UCA. Okay, so I'm just going to play this video as this really kind of shows the ethos of the university, our creative nature, and we are a university that has been offering specialist art and design education for over 160 years. So, we really have developed and expanded over decades of time into the University for the Creative Arts, which we are today. And at present, we have over 7,500 students on 120 creative courses, across arts, across creative business, across technology. So, we are very diverse in what we do, and there is a huge focus on ensuring that students are prepared for our, the creative industries and the creative industries globally. So we have a very global outlook at UCA. A lot of our students are international, or they may have a purpose or an intention of working internationally. And we therefore ensuring when we want to give students the opportunity to have experiences overseas, but also learn with a global perspective, and that's across all of our creative courses. We are currently the highest placed specialist creative university according to The Guardian, which is a very respected league table in the UK for assessing all the universities in England. And we were also the Modern University of the Year in 2019. Which just sort of shows the level of the facilities that we have. We're consistently investing in new technologies, new facilities across our campuses, which is really so important, especially for students who may be coming to do games art or games design or film, you want to ensure that you're learning with the types of equipment that you would need to use when you're actually working in industry. We also have won many awards, as well as our students winning many awards. And so, you know, we've won prestigious awards across the creative sectors for architecture, for graphic design, fine art, photography, animation. And we have a particularly strong alumni community, which really reflects, you know, the background of our students and what they go on to do. And that alumni community continues to grow. And we have alumni now working across all areas of creative industries and fashion houses and film studios. They've set up their own film companies. And so there are so many options for you to explore and for you to consider while you're studying at UCA. So, you know, as mentioned, we offer world-class degrees across all ranges of creative subjects, which are just listed here across crafts and ceramics, fashion, fine art, graphics and illustration, photography, performing arts. And these are the areas that we really specialize in. You know, we have students that have gone on to be Oscar winning, you know, students that have been Turner Prize nominees. So they are now really respected within the industries, and because our history goes back so far, and we have developed our alumni network over the decades, we have sort of an amazing portfolio of graduates and alumni, which we continue to work with, and our students can really take advantage of those connections that we have. They can go off and do work placements, they can hear from alumni that come back to see us. I mean, a lot of our alumni work now in the capital, which is sort of very much on the doorstep of a lot of our campuses. So they'll come back and often they'll want to sort of collaborate with students on projects and have them involved in the companies. So, you know, there's a lot of really exciting opportunities with working with a creative art institution that has that history and is so renowned within the industries. And, you know, just to explain a little bit more about our lecturers, our teachers, so many of our lecturers come to UCA with that experience within industry. So, for example, we have Mark O'Connor, who does our fashion promotion and imaging course, and our fashion journalism course, and he worked for many years as a fashion editor for FHM, and he continues to keep those connections within the industry, and he continues to work with people within the journalism industry, and that's what really makes his courses so exciting, is because he's still very much involved in the world of fashion, which constantly changes, as we know, and he's able to, you know, bring opportunities to students that wouldn't be there without him having that direct contact with the industry. But, you know, a lot of our lecturers, they work with UCA part-time because they continue to have their own projects aside teaching, whether that be in research, whether they're creating their own films, whether they're continuing to work towards a PhD, or whether they continue to collaborate on fashion projects with a fashion house, or they continue to do creative projects alongside their lecturing works at the university. And I know a lot of students will be considering the business school. You know, we're very proud that we are ranked 7th in the UK for business. And this is a particularly great achievement for the university because we have only been open, our business school has only been open a very short amount of time. So for us to be able to hold that rank while we've only been operating for about 3 years, really kind of reflects sort of the courses and what we're doing within the business school. And it is very much preparing students that want to go and work for, you know, those big companies in capitals across the globe, in a creative direction, and to take, you know, the senior manager roles within a creative company. So, you know, that is very much why we wanted to open the business school, because we saw that there was a need across all these growing technological companies to have those really knowledgeable but senior creative roles in business. And just a little statistic, so, you know, 96.9% of our UCA graduates are employed or in further study within 6 months. And I think this is just a really good sort of reflection. It shows the impact of our courses being industry focused and ensuring that, you know, you'll have the skills, you'll have the knowledge to go into the creative industry of your choice once you graduate. TEF, so we have the TEF Gold Award, and I think a lot of, you know, parents and students may not know what the TEF Gold is, but this is how universities across the UK are assessed by an external body, and there's TEF Gold, Silver, Bronze, and to achieve TEF Gold you really have to show you know, a commitment and to, you know, succeed in your capabilities to teach to a very high standard. And so having that award really does reflect the level of our lecturers, the level of our practitioners, and all the staff at UCA. And we are particularly proud of being able to say that we have a TEF Gold Award at the university. So we have 4 campuses across the southeast, and you can see the locations here. So we have Farnham, Epsom, Rochester and Canterbury, and they are all particularly easy to reach from the capital, so from London, and also particularly easy to reach from the major airports that you would come into. And, you know, UCA Epsom, we kind of refer to as almost like the London campus because it has a very fast train link into the capital. But really all our campuses are easily accessible to London. And I think, you know, that is fantastic for our students because living in London it can be quite an overwhelming environment, and it's a very high cost to live in the capital. But we do recognise and we know that so much of the creative industries are in the capital. So the great thing is that students are able to go in if they have a work placement or if they're going for the day to go to a gallery. You know, we have that easy access, yet students are able to live outside of London in safe environments which are often more affordable and a little bit more relaxed than studying in the capital. So Farnham, so this is our largest campus, and this is where we have a huge amount of facilities, which Tipu will talk about a little bit a little later. But we offer, you know, a huge range of courses, and there's a huge amount of work that goes on across courses. So students working together to create really exciting projects. So, you know, you might have a film student working with an animation student on their final project, you know, or you may have an acting student working with a film student. So what's really exciting is how much sort of cross-disciplinary work that goes on, and the access that you have to so many facilities on campus at Farnham, just because there's so many courses offered, and, you know, so many diverse areas that you can consider looking into and expanding your work as you develop projects. And these are just some of the images of Farnham. And so Epsom, as I mentioned, is our sort of our London campus, and this is where a lot of our fashion and business courses are. And it's a very nice learning environment because you have the creative business school there, which is very modern, but you also have that easy link to London. And so a lot of students like the environment because Epsom is a very nice town to live in, but they know that they sort of have London on their doorstep. And here are just, you know, some of the photos from our fashion courses that are taught at Epsom. Canterbury, so Canterbury is a really beautiful town And it's very much a university city, because there are other universities based there. So there's a really lovely sort of student feel. And there's so much that you can be involved in within Canterbury. So it's a really lovely learning environment, and that's where we have courses such as architecture, graphic design, industrial design. There's a lot of green open space at Canterbury. So students normally find that it's a really close community at this campus, and students often have close working relationships with other students and their lecturers, and they get to know everybody really well, and it's quite an intimate learning environment, which is really nice because students are so involved in that creative environment when they're on campus. And then lastly, we have Rochester. Rochester is a very buzzy campus because there's so many fashion students there. The fashion courses do demand that, you're often in the classroom, working on your projects, perhaps 4 or 5 days a week. So, we have a huge range of facilities for students to ensure that they're able to work on their projects while they study, and they're able to have the space to do that at Rochester. So there's a lot of fashion courses, but also things like photography, makeup and hair design is taught there as well. And you can see some of the printing rooms. A lot of students actually, you can see in the top left-hand corner, they have their own workspace while they study, which, a lot of universities could never offer that, but some of our courses are able to offer that, so that you're able to keep all of your work together as you develop your projects. And Maidstone TV Studios. So our television production course is based here, and it's really exciting because students have first-hand experience of working on live shows, and so many programs that are shown on TV on a Saturday night across the UK. These are filmed at Maidstone TV Studios, so students work firsthand on these shows, and they get to learn about the equipment, they get to learn about the environment, they get to make contacts, and sort of that experience is so invaluable. And you just cannot have that experience from sitting within a classroom. So it's a completely different learning environment if you're based at this campus, because you are at a TV studio. So it's a very professional learning environment, but very quickly students learn that work etiquette, and they learn, how to work professionally, with people that are producing these productions. So, it's such a unique course, and such an exciting course for students to be on. We also have the Royal School of Needlework, where hand embroidery is taught. This is a very competitive course with very small numbers each year, but it is taught at Hampton Court, which is a beautiful palace just on the edge of Kingston on the Thames. So it's a really lovely working environment. And so if you're studying here, you're sort of on the brink of the capital, and a lot of the projects that the School of Needlework on are particularly exciting. They worked on Princess Kate's wedding dress, although they didn't realise that it was her wedding dress at the time. So there's a lot of exciting projects that they do on that course. I'm just putting this on here because we have sort of like a uni buddy scheme. So if you go online onto our websites and go onto course pages that you're interested, courses that you're considering, you can talk with students that are currently studying on the courses, students that might have just recently graduated. You can talk with international students, UK students. So I'd really encourage you to do that, because there's often a lot of questions that students want to ask, but maybe it would be most appropriate or best to answer by a student that's actually studying at the university at present. So you can ask them, whatever you might want to know about the course, about the lectures, about what they do day to day, shopping, anything that, you might want to know, you can ask students. So please do use that tool, because it's a really nice way of finding more about the university. And this is just another statistic about the amount of jobs there are in the creative economy. And I think a lot of people don't realise or recognise how much growth there has been in the creative industries, and that growth continues, especially with the advancements of technology and social media and how the world is changing. Creative minds are always in demand, especially across companies that they have the technology. They don't need people for technology, they need people for creative ideas. And so, it's an interesting and exciting statistic for people who are considering working in creative industries. 1 in 11 jobs are in the creative economy, which I think is higher than a lot of people might have thought. And the worth of creative industries is 111.7 billion, which is of course a huge amount of money. And this is 5 times the annual growth than the UK average. So it does show that while other industries may be in decline, and they may be finding that technology is taking a lot of the jobs that previously we did, the creative economy is not finding that, but there continues to be growth and change and a demand in this area. And the picture just in the right there is particularly interesting because it really does show the need, I suppose, to be in the southeast and close to London, because that is where so many of the creative jobs are. And so, while there will be creative jobs across the UK, there still is that huge focus on London. And that's why it's so important that Winshaw students are able to access London, to go and do work placements and go and find opportunities, and go to plays and go and see galleries. So, you're in a prime location for getting the creative experience that you need. And just a little bit about creativity business. As I know a lot of students will be considering this, but creativity and business is so interlinked. And I think more and more people are recognizing that, and as artificial intelligence will replace so many jobs in the future, you're not going to the creative roles are not going to go. If you look at Apple, those types of companies, or Google, they have innovation labs, and they want people who are innovative and creative, and can bring business knowledge, but also sort of that match of creativity and business into the workplace. And, we have a fantastic students' union, which is really diverse, from cheerleading to, we have a K-pop club. So there's a huge amount that you can get involved in. And, there is a lot of support for our international students. We have a fantastic careers team that can help develop your CV, that can help you find those maybe work opportunities or graduate roles, and help you look for those types of work experience while you study, as well as a fantastic counselling team, and we have a really lovely gallery space. So, you'll put your final projects up in a gallery that the public can come and view. So, we have a lot to offer our students as well, outside of the classroom. We have fantastic UCA accommodation across all of our campuses, and we do urge you to apply as early as possible. The picture at the top is in Farnham, where we have just finished a huge number of new bedrooms, and so September it will be the first students going in there. So we have a lot of very modern and very nice UCA accommodation for you to consider while you're studying at UCA. And our alumni, so we have so many alumni go into different areas of work, using sort of their creative experience, such as being a buyer at Marks and Spencer's or a copywriter. You know, and if you look at our alumni pages, you can sort of see all the success stories of where students have gone on to. And, you know, just some of our sort of famous alumni, such as Karen Millen, which is sort of a well-renowned fashion designer. We have Gareth Edwards that worked on Star Wars. You know, the creator of Peppa Pig actually was a UCA alumni. So, you know, we have our alumni network is always growing, and it's such a advantage at UCA because we keep in contact with so many of our alumni and continue to sort of use those contacts and bring those to the students who study with us. Okay, so thank you very much. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen before I pass over to Tipu. Okay. Thank you. Yes, so if you have any questions, please do put them in the Q&A bar, and I will pass over to Tipu.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Some of the points that you raised there that I will be covering in my my session as I go along. So if I just start this. So hello everybody. Thank you for having me here. It's the first time that I'm doing this. I'll be going through a few points about technical services. So my name is Tipu Mir. I'm a technical service manager, and my role is to make sure that my staff, my technical staff, support the students and the academic team. So throughout your 3 years, 4 years, you're able to access resource and technical advice and technical skills. It's a great place to work. I've been working there since 2001. So it's been a long time, and through my time there, I've learned a lot, and I work with other universities, and I have to say, and not being biased, UCA does have lovely resources and a great staff. So today, I just want to speak about not only the resources, but the staff itself and the support that we provide. So before I go anywhere, I'd like to talk about the various campuses and the campus's resources. So the first campus I'd like to talk about is Canterbury. Now, as mentioned before, the Canterbury campus has the School of Architecture, and it's made up of courses like product design, interior design, and architecture. Now, these courses have access to machine workshops where the students may make scaled down models, prototypes, and maquettes. They'll have access to CNC machines, milling machines, and they also have options to take their files to the digital fab lab where they'll have access to 3D printing and laser cutting to produce their models. The Rochester campus, again, will have workshops like all the campuses will do. But the Rochester campus, as mentioned, has a strong fashion background, which has large open plan studios with workshops and equipment for garment making. They have access to digital means as digital textiles printing and silk screen printing. They also have a partnership with Maidstone TV Studio, where, as mentioned, it's a great partnership where students have access to industry equipment and industry practice. Epsom campus, again mentioned before, has our business school for creative industry. Again, has workshops for dry workshops for wood and plastic production. It also has photography studios. It also has open plan studios for the fashion course. Again, when I speak through the various campus, you'll see that we do share resources, and we do have the option to share. We do speak to each other, and we try to make sure that what we provide in one campus, we can provide in another. So the campus that I can sort of talk about a lot is the Farnham campus where I work. I do have a great passion for the Farnham campus, and I have seen it develop the way it has developed into this beautiful campus. The resources on the campus, as mentioned before, we do have a wide range of courses there, ranging from glass and jewelry, all the way to games, art courses and music technology. So it's very, very varied in the resources that we provide there. And one thing that we're very proud of on the Farnham campus is that the means that we do have traditional resources. And when I mean digital, when I mean analog resources, I'm talking about animation, where you have rostrum rooms, where you're working with still frame animation. You have sand animation, you have model making animation. You can also have the digital side, which will be working with 3D animation, working with Maya and other software. One of the biggest courses in on the Farnham campus is the film production course. And it's a course that I work very closely with. And again, the Farnham campus has this ability to work with analog processes as well as digital, and students will be taught via analog first and to learn the manual aspects before moving on and having the options to work with digital. So film production course has been there for a long time, and they use film cameras, actual film cameras. So work with 16mm Bolex cameras and 35mm cameras, where students have to, and the students get taught and have the grasp of learning all the analog-based procedures. That way, we feel that when they do progress and move on to digital means, they have those skills, the background skills, instead of setting things on automatic. They understand why things happened and have that more rich experience. Well, we also have photography studios there, and we're very lucky to have black and white and color darkroom processes. And again, we go back to looking at analog processes there. We have a fantastic equipment hire department, which facilitates for analog equipment. So with the cameras, we have 35mm cameras ranging from medium to large format, and we're able to do experimental photography outputs as well. And on the digital side, we do also look towards all the creative packages that support the digital outputs. The Farnham campus also, being the size it is and the courses that it does have, has music composition, and with that has a live recording studio, industry practice and recording studio. We try to mimic industry practice where we can. And when I talk about our team, we'll talk about how we go into industry and see what they're doing there and how we can bring it back and align it to the course. So technical staff, we have over 130 members of staff. They may be technicians in name, but they are also artists and practitioners in their own right. They produce work, they exhibit their work, they produce research, and they are award-winning around the world. So I'm very proud to sort of say that the staff members that you have, the technical staff members that you have to support you are equally as good as the academic staff, and we work very closely with our academic staff. The thing I would say about technical staff and how we work with students is you will see us every day, and we will be part of that journey as you go throughout your time at UCA. So technical support, this is a question that I get asked the most. What sort of technical support would I be provided, and what sort of support would I get? Now, I'm also proud to say that the technical support that we have on UCA amazing, absolutely amazing. From right at the start, we work with the academic teams and the courses to identify what's required for your journey and what equipment is required for your journey. And this is updated yearly to make sure that we're on trend, and also the traditional skills aren't lost as well. So the technical teams will be working with you throughout your time, and they'll be showing you the equipment to have that skill, that tactile skill that you need to progress to produce the work. One thing that we do say in the technical team is have a go, is have a go, make mistakes. We find that when you have a go and make mistakes, that's where the best learning happens. Our technicians make sure that all the equipment that we have on site is safe to use. So we make you competent and independent learners. So we are around to support you and look at the things that you're making and give advice. So towards the end of your time with us, you are equally as skilled because you have that time in the studios working with the equipment. One thing I'd like to sort of say and probably sort of end with is this thing about are we allowed to use other equipment within the areas? As you've probably seen and been spoken about, is we do have facilities, great facilities. Our technicians aren't aligned to courses, they're aligned to the resources, which that means that students have the ability to ask to work in different areas. We find that this enriches the student experience. We also find that the output of the student work also becomes better, knowing different skills. An example of this would be jewelry students having access to photography studios and getting taught in how to use cameras. So then they can have their own skills in taking photographs of their own work being produced. I feel I've gone very fast through that, but what I'd like to end with is a little video, and I'd also like to sort of take any questions afterwards. So I'm going to start the videos. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tipa. That was really insightful. Thank you for the great session. And I think it's over to Kari now. So if you're able to share your screen, please. Oh, it's coming up. Perfect. Thank you, Kari. Over to you.
Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Everybody? Okay, I'm just going to go back to the beginning. Well, thank you for letting me spend some time talking to you. I feel like I want to apply now that I've actually listened to Sidonia and Tipu. Sounds fantastic, but obviously I work here. So what I'm going to do is give you a bit of an overview in the CAS process. So that might interest some of you. So it's just a brief introduction to the CAS process and the tools that UCA use to be able to help you through this process. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is the introduction to CAS Shield, which is the tool that we will be using, and I'll explain that to you, and also how we communicate with you through CAS Shield, the documents that we need for your CAS, the financial information, and also applying for your visa. And then we'll just finish off with some contact information for you. Hopefully you'll find useful today. Okay, so CAS Shield. What is CAS Shield? CAS Shield is a tool that we use to be able to create a CAS for you. And a CAS is a confirmation of acceptance of studies, and it gives you a unique number, and it will appear in a statement, and it will indicate to UKVI that you've met the requirements required to study at UCA, and it's very specific to you and to your course that you've applied for. So as it says there, a CAS number is digitally generated number that's specific to you. Okay, so the number appears on the statement and we email that to you once you've met all of the requirements that you need. And then you use that document to be able to apply for your visa. As I said earlier, we use what we call CAS Shield, and CAS Shield is a platform. It's an online platform. It's simple and it's secure and it's really useful. It's something we've used within the last year to 18 months, and it's something that we use to gather information from you and to be able to communicate with you. And it's really useful. Our team of international admissions officers will work through the documents and the communications that you send to make sure that we can help you and assign your CAS, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you can come to study at UCA, and we work very hard to help you. And obviously we will also want to reduce the risk of any visa refusals as well. So there are some really strict guidelines that we follow, and sometimes we communicate with you backwards and forwards, and sometimes it can be frustrating, but it's all to a good end, because we want to make sure that you can come to us, because we're really looking forward to having you join us. Okay, so when will you be invited to CAS Shield? So essentially, you need to meet the criteria of your offer and be able to be receiving an unconditional place on the course that you've applied for, and also that you've passed your GUS suitability interview. At that point, you will be sent an invitation to CAS Shield, where you can set up your account, and then you'll be able to load your information about your application, and there's different sections which you complete, and this allows us to review the details provided. So once they're all met, we then will hopefully be moving towards providing you with a CAS number. So we need to ensure that you've firmly accepted your offer, you've also paid your tuition fees, or your tuition deposit, sorry, and you've provided us with your supporting documents, and that's all going to be requested through CAS Shield. Your tuition fee deposit, please check with GUS directly and InUni with regards when they expect you to pay that, please. So that's something I'm just requesting for you to do. How will I get invited to CAS Shield? You'll be sent an email invitation. So once you've met those conditions and you have your unconditional offer, you'll then be sent an email invitation. And as I said earlier, you'll be able to create your Cash Shield account, and that will obviously be unique to you. How will you contact me about my CAS? We will communicate with you through Cash Shield, and I'm going to show you some screens. Oh, sorry, I've jumped a little bit there. Let me just pop back. I'm going to show you some screens that you'll see, but there's a really useful tool which is invaluable within Cash Shield, which allows you to pop a quick message in to us and vice versa. And it's something that we review regularly. So we find it a really useful tool. Rather than lots and lots of emails into our inbox, they're obviously stored as a method of communication within Cash Shield. Then we've got a history of what we're asking you to provide. So communicating through Cash Shield. So here's a screen, an idea of a screen that you will see within Cash Shield. So it's quite user friendly, and it will ask you for certain information as you go through. And then if you can see on the bottom right, there's a little envelope. And if you click on the little envelope, you'll get a little pop-up box appear, and you can actually put your communication within that and then send the message to us. So when we're reviewing your application for your CAS, we'll be able to see any communication you've sent to us, and it will be relevant to you, relevant to your CAS. And I think that it's something that we find, as I say, we found that very useful. Here's some more screens. As you see, it's very clear. There's very easy little drop-down menus and different options, so you can see the information at a glance. So I mean, I hope you're going to find that really useful during your application. There's just another screen there for you, so you can upload information. Okay. I think we just mentioned deposit payments. Please check with Gus InUni with regards when you are required to pay your tuition fee deposit. You'll find your tuition fee deposit request will be on your offer email. If you've got any queries regarding that, please check with us here at UCA, or check with Gus InUni initially. But if you have any concerns, then please do email us. There's also, from the website, how to pay, and I've put the link into here, and you'll be able to just click on the link and it will follow the instructions for you to be able to pay your deposit. So again, very straightforward information and how to pay instructions. So what kind of information and documents are required before the CAS issuance? So information that we're going to need from you is we're going to need to know whether you've got any dependents that are coming with you and whether or not they're applying at the same time as you, where you are applying from. So all this information you'll be able to feed into Cash Shield, and we'll be checking that with you. If maybe you type, yes, I'm applying from my home country, or you type something in error, then we will be checking that anyway. So please don't worry too much, but we will check the information that you put in there, but these are the kind of things that we need to know. Any previous study in the UK, and then you'll be needing to provide documentation for that, and any previous visa refusals. So on the other side of the screen, you've got documents required. You'll need a valid passport, obviously, any previous student visa, previously known as Tier 4, now known as the Student Route Visa, and any previous CAS documentations from your previous institutions, if you've obviously studied in the UK before. So we do ask for that, copies of your BRP as well. So please provide those statements to us. You can upload them through Cash Shield. Again, it's really useful. If we think we're missing something, we'll actually add that document to be requested. So if we think you've provided your visa, but you've not provided the CAS document, we can then drop a request in through Cash Shield. So please provide as much information as you can. Okay, financial evidence. Okay, so when you enter information onto Cash Shield, because you will be from a country that requires to provide financial documentation showing that you can actually pay for your course and support yourself whilst you're in the UK. So what we're looking for is we're making sure that if you've paid your tuition fee deposit, we need the balance of your first year's tuition fees plus first year's living costs. And that will need, as you see in there, it's detailed. It's very specific, isn't it? It's 9,207 for the living costs. That's obviously set by UKVI. So we need to have the whole sum of what's remaining with that living costs shown in your account. And that account will need to have that balance shown for 28 consecutive days. And the bank statements themselves are only valid for 31 days. So they can be sometimes a little bit of a tight window. So you could be asked to resend or get more up-to-date information, perhaps if some other element of your application is slightly delayed, or we're just checking some other document, then please bear with us, and obviously we will request it, because we have to make sure they're valid, because we don't want you applying for your visa with documents that are out of date, because then that will be useless to you, and you wouldn't get very far with your application. So if you're using a parent or legal guardian's money, you will also need a letter of consent from them to say that, yes, this is the relationship, this is my child, son or daughter, their name, their full name, the course, and that you agree to the finances to be used, give your consent for the use for their education. And with that, you'll need a copy of your birth certificate. If it's in another language, we will need obviously a translation of that birth certificate so we can verify it. And also there's the other option you may have is if you have an official sponsor, you'll need an official sponsor letter. Any more information on those or anything particularly specific, we'll be able to answer as we go through the application on Cash Shield. So if you've got any queries, we'll certainly be checking everything. So we make sure, as I say, we don't have any refusals for the wrong information or out of date statements. You may find that you have a loan. So we would need to see the loan letter, and it will be dated no more than 6 months before the date of the application. Confirm there's no conditions of the loan funds, so it just will be issued once you have your place and confirmed. And also it will confirm the amount of the loan, and the loan is in your name, not your parents' name. I think the one other thing I was going to mention with finances is please be mindful that on occasions, the currency fluctuations, if you're running it very tight margin with your funds that you're providing, you can find you're slightly short. So please over budget if you can, just because currency fluctuations, excuse me, can actually sometimes mean that you fall below the limit that we're required to have within the statement. Okay, so applying for your visa, this is the type of information that you will need. So I won't go into too much more information than this. Is you will need your CAS number, you will need a proof of qualification, original certificate and transcript as detailed on your CAS. So whatever you provide to us as far as your qualifications, you will need to be able to provide those when you apply for your visa. So we detail them in the email that sent you your CAS statement. If you're under 18, a consent letter from your parents, guardians, any previous BRPs or police registered certificates, current passport, 2 passport size colour photos with name written in English on the back, tuberculosis test results, if applicable to your country. You'll note that there is a comment within Cash Shield that asks you to be aware of that, but we don't ask you to upload the certificate as such. Birth certificate, if you're using your parents' or guardian's bank accounts, the financial evidence that we've approved. So don't provide something else. If we've already approved something and then you turn up with something else, that's not going to be helpful. And then a letter from your parents if they're supporting you financially. Okay, so here's some dates for you for latest enrolment dates. As far as we're aware, please read your CAS statement because sometimes there are some exceptions, but generally these are the dates for latest enrolment dates, and this will be shown on your CAS. Okay, the last slide here is I've put some contact email information on there. Please be aware that also some of the GUS email addresses may well be slightly changing, so please keep in contact with GUS and InUni with regards contacting them and best email addresses. But we've got the international admissions email at the top there. Also GUS admissions, that's myself and Simon at the UCA team on the UK campus in Farnham, which is GUS admissions. Any particular questions you might have regarding your visa with regards to perhaps previous visa refusals or anything that's slightly unusual that you wanted to just clarify, please get in contact with our visa advice team. And also there's an email for CAS related queries, documents at uca.ac.uk, but I think that would mainly be once you've received your CAS. But I would think hopefully that will give you as many contacts as you need to be able to work your way through the process. Okay, so I think that's me finished. It was nice to have the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kari. Really useful information. And I'm sure lots of students will start submitting their documents for CAS soon. In terms of a few questions, I know we're running out of time. There were a few questions in regards with the admission process. So I just wanted to reiterate here as to how you submit your application if you haven't done so yet. So if you are applying by an educational agency or you're submitting an application on behalf of a student by educational agency, you would need to submit it via GUS Gateway, which is ultimately GUS Partner Portal. If you don't yet have your login details, so feel free to reach out to your relevant business developer or UCA partners at gus.global, and we will look into your inquiry from there and make sure obviously you have your access to the portal and able to submit your students' applications. Or if you're applying directly, then reach out to your educational advisor and we will take it from there. So the application process is straightforward. Once you've submitted your application, it will be reviewed by GUS admissions first to make sure everything is in order, or if anything is missing, obviously you will be notified. And once your application is processed for the offer letter, you normally receive an offer letter within 2 to 3 working days. And the next step, obviously, for you to fulfill the conditions, so to provide the outstanding documents, so whether it's transcripts, certificates or proof of English. The great feature that we have within GAS portal, or if you're applying by one of our advisors, is that you can actually upload your documents at the time of your application if you have them ready. Passport is a minimum requirement, but you might already have transcripts, so feel free to upload those, or IELTS, etc. And then obviously that will be considered by our admissions. If you don't have documents yet, don't worry, we still encourage you to submit your application as soon as possible, to make sure obviously you start reserving your place at UCA. As you can imagine, places are limited, and we will be obviously reviewing your application based on the documents provided and issuing conditional offer. Once you fulfill all the conditions, the next stage for you is obviously get ready for GAS suitability interview, which Kari mentioned. If you need any support, feel free to reach out to your educational agency or our business developers or advisors, and we will obviously look into your query from there as well. And once you've passed your interview, obviously the next stage would be for you to proceed with your deposit and proceed to the CAS stage, which Kari already outlined the whole process for. There were also a few questions in regards with entry requirements, and I know Simon, Ting and Sidoni have been responding to a few questions, so thank you very much for that, really helpful. So you can always find entry requirements on UCA's website for your specific country, but you can also reach out to our advisors or your agency again to check on your specific case. Perhaps you studied a qualification which might not be mentioned on UCA's website, or maybe you're a mature student and had some study gaps. So again, we will look into your individual application from there. So I've already mentioned all the inboxes that you can obviously reach out to. If you do have any further questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A section and I'll read them out, but I can see a few of the questions were already answered. So hopefully you found this session really useful. There was also a question in regards with on-campus studies. Sidonia, would you like to elaborate a little bit? Because obviously in the UK, the great thing is that everything is pretty much open. The university is open from 17th of May as per the government guideline, and we are expecting to have on-campus studies fully resumed, or at least on a blended sort of basis from September. So we definitely look forward to welcoming all students in the UK in September. But would you like to add anything on that, Sidonia? I think you're still on mute, sorry.
Thanks, sorry. Yeah, I mean, the university, we recognise how important it is for our style of learning for, to have students back on campus when it's safe to do so. So, we have everything that we can do to ensure that they're safe learning environments. And as you may have seen, everyone is currently getting the COVID vaccine. This is now open to everyone above the age of 18, I think, from the last couple of days. But we don't know what will happen in the next few months. So we are preparing to have as many students back on campus in September as we can, and for our programs to be in the classroom rather than online, especially those more technical classes. But, we are very aware how quickly the world can change. So, we obviously follow government guidelines, and that is how we base what we do at the university. So if government guidelines are to change, then of course we may need to change what we intend to do. But we do hope to have students here in person in September, rather than students starting their degree, in their home country online. We hope to have students here to complete the quarantine, and to have students in the classroom abiding by, whatever measures may be in place.
Excellent. Thank you, Sidonia. And like you mentioned, I think the UK has done incredibly well in terms of the vaccination. So we expect for most of the population to be fully vaccinated by the end of summer. So definitely great progress there. And if you are planning to stay on campus accommodation, which we do strongly recommend, we do advise you to submit your application for accommodation as soon as possible as well. We did have a webinar on accommodation. If you have missed it, feel free to reach out to us and we'll share a recording with you. But it's quite a straightforward process via the UCA portal once you've obviously applied and have conditional or unconditional offer in place already. And we do advise you to reserve your accommodation at the soonest, because as you can imagine, it's a really popular option among students and especially international students. There were some questions in regards to the format of documents to be submitted. Yes, I can see Simon already responded. Thank you. So PDF would be definitely a preferred option when uploading documents. So please ensure you have uploaded the documents in the right format within the portal, or send it across to us to look into if you have any questions on your specific case as well. And I think we've covered most of the questions. Apologies, we ran out of time. If you do have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us. As always, we're happy to support you. Thank you very much, all the presenters. Once again, really helpful, really insightful and inspiring session. I want to be a student myself, to be honest, from September. And we can't wait to welcome all of the students to the UK, to UCA on campus, fingers crossed, in September 2021. Thank you all and have a great day. Goodbye.